Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Rukus Rush Reviews. Today I'm going to be looking at Tao Long by Thundergryph Games. For this review I'm going to be looking at the deluxe edition. I really enjoyed the components on this one. The artwork is really nice, the wood has a good thickness to it, and the thickness of the objects that are really meant to get in your way is thicker than the pieces that are meant to help you out, such as your dragon pieces and the pieces used for portals. I also really like playing on this neoprene mat. It has some good artwork icons here to let you know what each of these areas are. And overall the artwork on this is really nice. It really presents the theme quite well. I'm also a really big fan of this box. It has some really nice artwork on the outside, with this magnetic flap that opens up, and it has some artwork on the inside, and everything fits in here really well. The gameplay to this one is really simple. You have this area right here where you have a bunch of circles that are laid around, and you move them around in a Mancala type of manner, where you pick up an entire stack and you place one piece at a time until you've laid the last piece. And in the basic mode, all that matters is where you place your last piece. Each of these pieces allows you to move your dragon in different directions, but it often depends on the direction that your dragon is currently facing. So there are a few pieces that if you're facing left or right, then you can move your dragon, but you can't activate those pieces if you're facing up or down. And there are a number of places that if you're facing up or down, you can move, but if you're facing left or right, you can't move. This gives an interesting strategy because not only whenever you're moving the pieces are you concerned about what you're going to be able to perform with the last piece you lay down, but what you're setting your opponent up to perform as well. The goal of the game is to move your dragon around while the other player is moving their dragon around and try to destroy their dragon before they destroy your dragon. I really enjoyed the strategy to this game. You're constantly trying to move your dragon around and maneuver them in just the right way to where they'll be able to attack the other person. And you always have to keep in mind that it's going to take you a few moves to get away from a single spot, because every time that you move one or sometimes two spaces forward and your tail just kind of lags behind wherever you were. What's interesting about this is that as your dragon gets shorter, it actually becomes a lot more difficult for your opponent to attack you and a lot easier for you to maneuver around and get away from them. I will say that the introductory game, while giving us an idea of how to play the game, was not a good indicator of how good the game was actually going to be. It was actually rather boring playing that introductory game, because in the introductory game you just have the big wide open area and you're trying to move around, and most of the time we spent with our dragons right up next to each other, just sliding around and one person trying to get out so that they can get to where they face the other player. It just wasn't a very good experience. But once you start playing some of the other maps that they have available in the book, where they start adding obstacles and they start adding portals and all kinds of things all over the map, the game actually does get a lot more interesting, because now you're running around all over the board and you can't just stick up right next to somebody, because most of the time whenever you're going through a portal, they're either going to have to turn or they're going to have to go through a different portal that'll lead them just to a different part of the board altogether. In the game you use black tokens and white tokens, which don't really make much of a difference in the basic gameplay mode, but as you move into the advanced gameplay mode, it actually does start to make a difference, as stacking certain color patterns cause certain players to get additional moves. And it's especially fun whenever you get to attack your opponent and do more than 4 damage at once, so they both get to lose a piece from their dragon and don't get to get all of their blue pieces back. The water element to it gives it an interesting strategy as well, as damaging your opponent or your opponent damaging you all adds to the amount of damage that someone's going to be able to do whenever they finally are able to do a water attack. I really enjoyed the strategy on this game, and the game moves pretty quickly and it's fairly short. I really like the theme and the way it's presented. Overall, this is a great little strategy game that doesn't take very long to play, and you can really take it with you anywhere, as the entire game takes place on this board and there is no need for any additional space outside of it.